Warning: the Not Talk podcast contains language and content that may not be suitable for younger audiences. Listener discretion is advised. There will also be spoilers for various anime throughout the course of this episode. Please use caution in case we discuss a series you haven't finished. Finally, the opinions expressed are those of the individual participants and may not reflect the Not Talk podcast as a whole. Enjoy the show.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to the Dub Talk podcast, a group of people who have been thrown into a world of dubbing and magic for 10 years and still haven't figured out how we got here in the first place.
Or how to get home. Where's the bus?
Does it run through here? Are we on a big blue ball?
You probably ran out of ink, you damn bastards.
I don't know. I can't do I'm thinking about the SpongeBob counterspell. If you haven't guessed by the sounds of our lovely voices, my name is Megan, and I'm with my better half, Patrick.
Hi.
Tonight, we are here to put down into the time jar our future children's equivalency of How I Met Your Mother, but with a better ending. Just gonna roll with it. So today we are here to, as part of our 10-year anniversary, to recollect on a series that we did just impressions on, and at the time, didn't think we were gonna get this far, but we're here to talk about the reason that Patrick and I met, Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash, or as it's now known, Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions.
'Cause that name change...
Like a year after?
Yeah, because they put it out as the first one, and then like the home video had the second one. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was a different time, kids.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know what Gundam was. And now look at me.
That.
I've been mech-pilled so hard I'm wondering why the robot in Star Driver can have childbearing hips.
Crunchyroll dubbing, you cowards.
Yeah. Well, no, that's Aniplex.
At this point, it's both.
Yeah, at this point, please go back for that show. I played, at the time of this recording, I played, what was it, Hear Me Out Bingo, and I definitely put that thing on there. But today we're here to go back in time to the year of 2016.
A simpler time.
Oh my god, this show is almost 10 years old next year. Jesus Christ. Wow. So, about 9-ish years ago, this show was on what was known as the Double Talk block. So I think it was... What would have been that season with it? Hold on. Winter 2016. Anime.
Was that one?
It's a live chart. So this aired, to give everybody a time frame of what aired, I think that year that block was Grimgar, Dagashi Kashi Season 1.
That sounds about right. And the third one...
Was it Heavy Object?
No, it wouldn't have been Heavy Object. Was that when Fairy Tail Zero was out?
No. Let me
I mean,
title. So I'm looking at what it would have been, because I know oh, no! It was Assassination Classroom Season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. That was the Double Talk block. But yeah, no, this season aired the same time as things like Assassination Classroom Season 2, Dagashi Kashi Season 1, Erased. When the second season of Fairy Tail was running.
Okay.
Garo Crimson Moon, aka the Garo we don't talk about. Heavy Object, Haruchika. Let's see. What else? The first season of Konosuba.
Oh, yeah.
The second half of Iron-Blooded Orphan Season 1. The first season of Mr. Otsumatsu.
God.
Myriad Colors Phantom World, the, at the time, quote-unquote worst KyoAni show.
I feel so old.
Oh, I'm gonna make it worse. Pandora and the Crimson Shell Ghost Urn.
I barely remember that one.
That's the one with F-ports. Princess Stride Alternative, aka the entire Stride team at once. And let's see if any... Oh, Snow White with the Red Hair Season 2. Let's see. Udawari Maru, The False Faces. World Trigger was airing. And, one that has never been rectified or dubbed that should be, Showa Genroku era, or...
The Rakugo one.
Yes, with the good opening one.
The gay one.
But, the gay one. So yeah, very stacked season, and more importantly, this was the season that, like, two of what the foundations of what modern isekai would come to be came out. In Konosuba, and this. And one of them is slightly more popular than the other when the other one should be the more popular one.
As it tends to happen.
Yeah. So, let's not, I guess, let's, in a sense, it's very weird, and, like, to come back and talk to this now, especially, like, what's changed between now and then. Because I believe that night was the first night we ever actually talked to each other on voice.
That sounds about right, unless we had some sort of staff meeting for Dub Talk at some point.
Maybe, but it was the first time I know we both genuinely talked to each other. And that was the night that I yelled so loudly that I scared your dogs.
Yep.
And you found that attractive.
You know.
I love you. Hun?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. So, are you ready to just talk about the directing and writing?
Yeah.
Alright, so, traveling way back to the back of 2016, our director for the show is Mr. Mike McFarlane, and he was assisted by Felicia Angeal. And the writer for this series was Bonnie Klinkenbeard. Mike McFarlane, you'll know, is directing the entirety of Attack on Titan, Hyoka, and Tokyo Ghoul, while his assistant Felicia Angeal at the time would eventually go on to assist and direct in things like Blood Blockade, Battlefront, and Human Lost, but would eventually go on to fully direct more series like Heavenly Delusion. And Bonnie Klinkenbeard is probably, if not the single most prolific writer that Funimation, now Crunchyroll, has ever had, she's tied with John Bergmeyer for being their most prolific writer. And she has written series such as Alice in Zoroku, the movie Howl, and the series Red Data Girl. So, did you watch this on your Blu-ray or streaming?
Streaming. It was easier that way.
Yeah, I will say that they did put the Blu-ray materials up on streaming. Or at least they put the audio for the Blu-ray up, because back when this was a simuldub, And we'll kind of get more to that when we talk about the actor for that character. Ronta's voice had to be swapped out for, I think, the last 4 episodes.
That sounds familiar.
I don't remember if it's 3 or 4, because it was, he could not finish the show out at the time. Okay, it was the last 3 episodes, so Ronta had a different voice from episode 10 to 12, and it was a voice match, and it was a very good voice match, and kind of led to something really funny happening later on, like, literally the season after. But, yeah, nearly 10 years later, this holds up probably as one of Mike McFarlane's best dubs that he's ever done.
You know, it's definitely up there. I don't know if I would say it's, like, right at the pinnacle, but it's definitely, like, at least top 3.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say that for Mike McFarlane, because the guy has directed so much. And some of the most iconic series and dubs of all time.
Yeah.
But there's something about this show that really gets me, and I think a big part of that appreciation for this dub is, one, not only the casting that was put into this, because if you took a look at the cast nowadays, you'd be like, this is one of the most stacked dubs you'll ever see. Back 9 years ago, it wasn't. The most veteran voices in the industry were almost all relegated to secondary characters. And one of the other things I really want to point out is the mix on this show is stupid good.
It kind of proves something I've thought for a while, that the whole 5-week thing that they were working with while they were kind of dry running the whole dubbing at the same time as the subtitle thing, 5 weeks is probably the sweet spot.
Oh, yeah.
Because, yeah, the way things are with the modern cycle, there are, I don't want to sound rude, but there are definitely cracks, even with directors who have done some really solid work in the years prior.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. It's so weird to talk about this as one of the earlier simuldubs and the current, like, state of it as in general as it is, because now there are multiple companies who are doing them. There are some that are doing same day, like Crunchyroll. Funimation at the time, I think, was the real pioneer of the same day. More than like, obviously, when we always talk about simuldubs, we have to talk about the fact that I believe it was Kurokami was the actual first one in the entire industry, but the modern homunculus was created by Funimation. And
yeah,
and as much as I have a couple of notations on, like, I too would agree with you. I would love to go back to the 5-week sweet spot. But unfortunately, you and I both being not only anime fans who have been on the internet for more than 5 years, we're both considered dinosaurs in the fandom space.
Yeah.
Being that we're both in our mid to late 30s. As much as companies probably, and, like, the people who are working on them would probably want that, fan demand won't let them, because some of you people are unhinged little freakazoids.
Yeah,
and
an episode gets delayed for like 30 minutes, and people freak out.
Like, I don't... You and I know because we're on their Discord, me more than you, but, like, right now, as of recording, Solo Leveling is airing its 2nd season. People will freak out hours before it's supposed to come out where the episode is. Yep. And that's just for the subtitled version.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, fan demand has kind of, and like, I do hold personal responsibility in that I have literally sat and talked about simuldubs for 10 years, that I have probably contributed to it. But, like, I remember last night I was talking to somebody about how they didn't see Dragon Ball Daima as a true simuldub because it was 3 months behind. And I'm like, no, it's still simulcasting. It was still simulcasting when they started, and everybody who has been around for a while knows that Toei's a pain in the ass, and especially with Dragon Ball, especially right now given the estate of Dragon Ball. But there are people who genuinely assess that simuldub means on the same day now. And that's not what it was when this was made. This dub was behind, and also had to get re-recorded because an actor had to be replaced. Because they had been ill, and they went and let him come back to finish it, Sentai. But I think the other thing I noticed, too, that stood out upon rewatching this not only 9 years later for the first time, but as older, the script for this is superb.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely conversational. And in that, like, it feels like a bunch of people who are forced to come together and be friends and have to survive on each other. But also, like, the way they slip and talk to each other, like, in the background of things.
And, you know, listening to it, it becomes kind of obvious what ultimately happened with Bonnie Klinkenbeard moving from writing scripts for shows to ultimately overseeing a large swath of the output that gets done in a given season.
Yeah, now she's like the head of their writing department, if I'm correct.
At least one of them, if I recall.
I think it's her and Bergmeyer?
Sounds about right. I don't know if one or both are still doing it, but there was a time where they were basically looking at everything as it was getting done.
Yeah, and that's not to say that there aren't a lot of good scripts out now, but, like, there is something almost effortless about the way that the dialogue in Grimgar goes on, and I think that's also just a credit to it as a show, because, unfortunately, there are not a lot of isekai like Grimgar. And that's sad, given the state of what isekai has become in 9 years.
Yeah.
Like, we don't harp on isekai because it is an inherently bad genre. We harp on isekai because Katakawa looked at it and decided to play Mike Rowe and dive into the trash. And unfortunately, a lot of the nastier aspects of isekai happen to sell well with certain people. Therefore, we're kind of in the state that we are now, but that's not Grimgar's fault. And it's not to say that the show doesn't have its moments. But overall, I really like the writing and direction. Do you have anything more to say about it?
Well, on the note of basically isekai as it is in 2025 compared to 2016, yeah, it sort of, it leans way too far into the male power fantasy at this point. And that's the stuff that's getting picked up, the stuff that's getting dubbed, the stuff that's getting the nice little chipboard boxes when it comes out on home video. It's obviously doing well, but it feels wrong.
It just feels like you wanna just, like, you know, slide the slime off.
And of course, it's all... you know what? Well, I'll put a pin on that for now.
We'll come back to that at the end, our final thoughts.
script writing's good. Direction is among the best of the simuldub era.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I gotta say.
Alright. So there's only one group of, like, core characters, so we're just gonna talk about them all at once, because it's just easier to. Haruhiro is the kind of main focal character of this series. He is a sleepy-looking kid who becomes a thief and eventually becomes the leader of the party. That is because he looks up to Monato, the priest of the series, the priest of their main party, and kind of the de facto adult in heart. He was their strategist, their everything. Then there is Ranta, who is a dark knight who very much says what he's thinking and is kind of unsavory and awful, and if this was any other isekai, Ranta would be the main character. Moguzo is their large, soft-spoken warrior tank. He likes to cook and carve and is kind of the gentle soul. Yume is the hunter of the group. She's kind of a little bit ditzy and clumsy at first, but she becomes one of the emotional centers of the team with Haruhiro and turns into a mighty fine hunter herself. Shihoru is the shy, quiet mage girl who at the beginning of the series won't really speak to anybody and kind of cowers and hides, but by the end of it she kind of stands on her own as a member of the party. Mary is a priest that comes in later in the series after the unfortunate death of Monato. She at first is standoffish and doesn't want to let anybody into her heart after her party wiped to the Cobalt death spots, and she has to go eventually face that trauma and fear with her new party. Playing Haruhiro is Rika Fajardo, playing Monato is Justin Briner, playing Ranta is Orion Pitts, playing Moguzo is Jared Green, playing Yumi is Junie Tirado, playing Shihoru is Sarah Wiedenhef, and playing Mary is Jade Saxon. Rika Fajardo you'll know as characters such as Leon Luis in Garo the Animation, Hayato Kisaragi in 100, and Kai in Show by Rock. Justin Briner is known as Alfonso San Valiante in Garo the Animation. Sorry, Patrick, I had to put this in because every time I do a Justin Briner role and I don't put this in at least once, I get sad because it's so fun to say. Apple Beaver in Double Decker Duck and Kirill, and Izuku Midoriya in My Hero Academia.
Oh, Double Decker's fine.
The name is funny, though.
Oh, it's funny, yeah.
Apple Beaver. Orion Pitchell knows characters such as Doug Hummer in Blood Blockade Battlefront, Fred in Burst Angel Infinity, and Kairi Okayasu in Peach Girl. Jared Green you'll know characters such as Tigre in 91 Days, Argo Tsukishima in Guilty Crown, and Coco in Toriko. Junie Tirado you'll know as characters such as Fauna in Black Clover, Layla McCall in Code Geass Akito the Exiled, and Riko Sakarichi in Love Live Sunshine. Sarah Wiedenhef you'll know as Ruby Kurosawa in Love Live Sunshine, Okiku in Konohana Kitan, and Asusa Murasaki in Orange. And Jade Saxon you'll know as Chika Tamaki in Love Live Sunshine, Pierre H. Klosterman in Strike Witches, and Lisa Mishima in Terror in Resonance. Yeah. A lot of words.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of words.
And I think the interesting point to start this off with is just how many of those roles you named came after Grimgar.
Yes. Very funnily, Justin Briner would literally become Deku the next season after this. And to go back to the pin that I put in earlier about Ranta's voice actor, Orion Pitts, at the time of the show's airing, had an injury to his vocal cords and had to step away. He was voice matched by Clifford Chapin, who would go on to become Bakugo in My Hero the season after. Back in the day when we used to run this show, we used to do predictions for voices. Because of this show, I swore to God Orion Pitts was going to end up being Bakugo.
Yeah, I could...
Instead, we got Clifford Chapin and the rest is history, and I'm not going to say anything bad about that. But
had it happened, I could
Yeah.
have seen it.
Yeah. I could have seen it too. But you are completely correct that this cast is insane for what would be in 2019. But in 2016, this was like, oh, okay, and? Like, I believe the two most veteran voice actors of this party at the time would have been Jared Green and Jade Saxton, and probably Orion Pitts. The rest of them were all fairly newer people.
Yeah, and actually it's kind of interesting with Jade Saxton because she was one of the headline cast of... Now I remember the lineup of that Double Talk season.
Yeah.
It was Grimgar. It was Fairy Tail Zero.
Oh.
And Dimension W.
Oh. Wait. No, Dimension W was on Toonami.
No, I think it was both. It might have... I gotta look that up now. Because I'm pretty sure it was both. Oh, you know what? It may have been... See, the fun thing about this is, with the Funimation blog gone, you can't actually see this stuff anymore.
Really? Yeah.
Seems about right. We'll go with it until it's... Maybe it was Dagashikashi, anyway.
I have found their listennotes.com.
Anyway, it is interesting...
Yeah.
Bringing up Dimension W alongside with Jade Saxton, because she was one of the major players in Dimension W. And that was supposed to be the big thing that really didn't go anywhere, but...
For the better.
It was alright, but just alright.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, Dimension W was the show where, like, you could levy the quote-unquote same 12 actors argument on, because, like, that was where they put all the heavy hitters for that particular time frame. Anyway. Yeah, just found that interesting. Because, yeah, like, Jade Saxton probably would have been the biggest member of the principal cast of the show.
Mm-hmm.
At the time. Oh, boy.
And her
Boy, that was a long
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just... That was a long tangent.
You're allowed to do long tangents. And, like...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say, and her performance is really moving.
Yeah. It basically is like everybody in this party is grieving, but neither Mary nor the party can like find common ground between one another, because they're just so broken by their own individual separations that they just can't converge.
Yeah, they both meet each other in different states of grieving. Grimgar at its heart is not a power fantasy. It is probably the anti-power fantasy show. Everything here will kill you, and it will it will kill you mercilessly, and there is no just walking off death with OP superpowers. When people die, they are dead, and it carries weight. And I 100% forgot about the part of this show where Mary has to mercy kill her party as zombies. Yep, totally forgot about that. I blacked that part out of my mind. And the way that Jade Jade performs her and her trauma, and the first, like, the way that she does, like, her voice gets warmer as she warms up to them. Because at first, she doesn't smile, she doesn't want to be around them, she doesn't want to have anything to do with these people. And they eventually talk to the only other survivor of her old party. And the way that he speaks about it, he basically says that Mary is still dead down there. Because of the grief and the trauma she holds. And it's such a little thing to think about, because I don't know how many people put stock into this when they watch a lot of anime and are thinking about the performances. In episode 10, when they're in the farm field, and she sees or senses, is it big spots?
Death spots, I think.
Death spots. The thing that killed her party. The thing that killed 3 members of her party. Jade's breathing and whimpering and crying is very visceral. And you just kind of feel that pain in her heart, because, you know, she is going to be in this moment where, oh my god, I've got to fight the thing that killed everybody I loved again.
Yep.
Do you... I'm sorry, I'm so used to us bouncing off more people.
I know, right?
It's just us, and I love you, and I'm like, I don't want to speak over him all the time, because I'm the talkative one.
And now I'm just looking something up because it's been bugging me. But, I'll get back to that.
Okay.
Who are we on?
We're talking about Mary.
Okay, we're still on Mary. Yeah, it's interesting, Mary's character progression, because she goes from a point where she literally cannot interact with anybody out of the fear that if she joins up with another party, they're gonna suffer the same fate. Going from that to ultimately finally warming up once Haruhiro...
You can call him Hero, that's what everybody else calls him by the end of it.
When Haruhiro finally, like, brute force pushes himself into the... I guess into her sphere, and is able to get her to kind of start liking people again, to her getting over her trauma by going to the place where her party members died. One, to finally exercise their bodies so that they can pass on in peace, and two, take out the motherfucker who took him out. I mean,
big angry dog.
I mean, I guess that really wasn't her objective going down there. It was mainly just to get her final closure with her party, but, you know, taking out death spots, sweet little bonus.
Yeah, for her it was going to do that. For the rest of them it was, we need money.
Yep. And that 30 gold bounty, real sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think kind of the next person I would talk about is Moguzo, because unfortunately Moguzo doesn't do the most.
Yeah. And I kind of wish... Moguzo's kind of the reason I wish at some point Grimgar would get additional seasons down the road. I don't want to spoil too much, but stuff involving him becomes kind of important later on in the novels.
Yeah, to which there are apparently like 20 plus novels of this. I have been told by people who read the novels that this series gets absolutely batshit insane.
Ooh. That sounds cool.
Like, the world building of this series is absolutely nutters.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I like Jared's performance, though. It's got this very kind of, like, warm Big Brother vibe. Not in the same way that Monoto has, but, like, the scene in the bar after he passes away. And he gets Ranta and Haruhiro to stop fighting each other.
Yeah. Like, Monoto's big brotherly aura is more getting his compatriots to collaborate, to figure out their strengths. Moguzo's big brother energy is just, he wants to make sure that they're fed. He wants to make sure that they're taken care of. He's just a good boy.
Also, his quirk of yelling thank you whenever he kills something. Thank you!
Which I may have misinterpreted from kind of half paying attention to the show at one point, but I think that was, he misinterpreted the name of the attack that he calls out when he does that slash.
Yeah. They call it the thank you slash. And, like, he a big boy.
Yeah. He's beefy.
Like, there's a part where they go and get revenge on the goblins that killed Monoto. And he smashes one of them through a floor at one point.
Oh, it's so satisfying.
Like, oh god, that entire scene is just... Mwah. Love it. I guess you, the next person that would be good to talk about, I guess, is, Sarah's character.
Yeah,
Shiharu.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
a fun story with the original recording of this episode. I misinterpreted Sarah Wiedenhef's name. I took like 4 years of German in high school. I assumed that W was pronounced how you're supposed to pronounce W's in German. And then I got called on it. That was funny.
Yeah. In a like, haha, please never speak of this again kind of way, right?
Yep. Except I am now, but I can now look back at that and kind of laugh at it.
Yeah, there are some times we have been absolutely cringe on this show over 10 years, and there are times where I want to sneak into a box and be thrown at the bottom of the sea next to Dio Brando. Hopefully those idiots won't find me like they found Dio. But this was back, I think, when Sarah was definitely typecasted more as, like, the little shy girl. Because that's what Shiharu does for the first couple of episodes. She's very flighty and very, like, hiding behind people. And the thing that hurts the most is watching her knowing that she is in love with Monoto. And when you rewatch this series and you know he's gonna die.
Yeah, and you start just...
No, little mage girl, don't fall in love with the nice priest. My god, it's full of death in here.
I will never trust a romance subplot in an isekai again.
I've been burned one too many times.
This show has given me trust issues.
Just... that scene, it's really quiet, and it's not a ton of not a ton of super loud acting, but it's very intricate acting. And that is when she and Monoto are feeding the birds on the bridge.
Yeah, and I think at that point, watching it for the first time, I was just like, oh no, there's a death flag, isn't there? I don't know
One
who.
of these.
Someone here ain't making it out, are they?
And then, right in the back, like, her crying when they take Monato's body to his guild will shatter a man.
That scene in general just hurts.
Yeah. It is one of those scenes that will either make you cry or the intensity of the emotions from it will make you inherently uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sometimes both. But I like as the series goes on that she starts to really get her confidence in her voice. Because I think Sarah portrays that growth really well in the very small things that she's doing. The way that she maybe speaks a little louder or a little more firmly. The way that she seems a little bit more open. Because at the end of the day, Grimgar's biggest skill as a series is that the drama and the tension and the effects are not built just because everything in that world will kill them and they make fighting level 1 goblin, like what would be level 1 goblins, into absolute abject horror. It's also because of the personal connected stakes between the characters. The way that they talk to each other, the way that Sarah acts talking to Yume as opposed to talking to Ranta or Hiro or Moguzo. And it's something all of the actors, even in very early stages of their prolific careers, were very good at.
Yeah. And on a note for what you were, one of the points you were making earlier, as Shihiro was getting more and more confident, like, I like that the way you could tell that was just her sheer willingness to tell Ranta off.
Oh yeah, because he deserved it often.
And like, it's weird that after everything with Monato, like, there was some chemistry between Shiharu and Ranta. Not in the romantic sense, but there was a lot of interesting banter back and forth between the two of them after that point.
She finally got the courage to kind of stand up for herself. Because Ranta is a shithead most of the time.
And the weird thing is, in Ranta's own way, I think Ranta kind of respected the fact that Shiharu was a little more assertive.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the series makes clear who he's got the actual romantic affection for.
Yeah.
And it's not Shiharu. But speaking of, I guess, are we good to move on to the next character,
Yeah.
or? I feel like we'd have to go to Monato next, because he might only be in 4 episodes, but goddamn did Justin Briner put his whole Brinussy into it.
And I think Monato is where the original 5-week time cycle for the broadcast dub of Grimgar had its biggest advantage. Because by the time that dub episode got out, we knew Monato's fate.
Yes.
And by that point, they were when they got to the episode, the materials and all of that, like, there was enough time to prepare everybody for the fact that this was happening.
Yeah. I think that, first of all, I'm gonna sorryly out myself as the hornier one between the two of us. I didn't notice how fine he was 9 years ago. That very tight knit shirt for under his armor. Hello. But that being said, getting to hear Justin Briner play the kind of, at the time, much more mature leader character was very interesting, because only a year prior had Justin Briner really come onto the scene. And he really definitely broke out in Seraph at the End. And at that time, he was a decently establishing himself rookie. Like, he had leads and things, like, he was basically the co-lead in Seraph. He's the co-lead in Heavy Object, if I'm correct.
I think you are.
Yeah, it was him and Mike in that too, right?
Was it Micah? Might have been Micah.
I don't remember 100%, but, like, he was established. Like, he was an established actor at that point. But he was also kind of in these weird places, and I don't think he had played a character that mature at that point. Maybe Alfonso in Garo, but even then, Alfonso only looks mature because he's got Captain Emo McFirepants next to him.
Yeah.
And you know, Slut Dad. That, listen, I'm gonna say something that's I might ask you to cut out, but because of Garo the animation, I swear to God David Walt was a straight man. He plays a horny straight man so well in that show.
Yeah.
Like, it is like I don't know. It's like watching a straight, it's like the anime equivalency of watching very straight Robin Williams play in the Birdcage. It's like a reverse Birdcage, where the gayest dude you know is playing the straightest man you know very well.
Yeah.
But
yes, it was Micah.
Okay, cool. I'm like, I know, because that was when the both of them kept getting paired and fucking everything.
Yeah, and knowing what I know, Garo probably would have been between Seraph and Heavy Object.
Yeah. But God, Justin's so good in this. And then his death gurgles.
Ugh. But yeah, Justin Briner's Monato, good stuff.
It's also very interesting to talk about it too, because his death is really the actual moment in the show where, like, this is what is going to drive the plot forward.
Yeah.
Is how do you deal with the death of one, not only your party leader to them, but for Hiro, who's the main character, how do you deal with the death of your idol? And how much did he actually, ever understand Monato the person?
Yeah.
Because I think at its heart, Grimgar is a show about not only grief and loss, but it's how you push yourself forward from that, and I think we'll definitely talk to that when we get to Hiro's voice the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I don't have much more to say about Monato other than, like, Justin's really good. He's got this, like, warmth to him, but he can also be, like, the battle commander. And you can also kind of hear the desperation sometimes when he's fighting. Especially in that first episode Goblin fight.
Yeah.
Where, like, you can tell he's as panicked but he's also definitely put himself together the fastest. Not because I think he wants to, but because he has to, and you can really hear that in his tone, in the tone.
And not to mention, like, when he shows up in the final episode.
Oh, yeah.
As that mental image pep talk. For Hero. Or Hero.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of interesting stuff to Justin playing Monoto.
Mm-hmm. I think next would be kind of good to talk about Genie's Yumi, who has a lot of energy to her, and I think the thing that I like about it is that it is so green. It is so flighty, it is a little bit fast-talking, it is a little bit spacey like she is. I think the only time I ever felt her performance was kind of flat was when she was praying to her god. That's kind of the only nitpicky place. But that is all 100% erased when she and Hiro cry it out in front of the bathhouse.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, it is so hard to put into words how hard that hits. Because it's one of those performance moments that I think you genuinely need to experience in this show, and watching the show. So, there is such a desperation in the pain of two people who are at the same point in their lives who don't know how to go forward because of the pain they feel. And one of them has been very open and waiting for them to come so that they can talk it out. And the other one has just tried to put a brave face on and go forward. And Yume is the former. She is, I would say, the emotional heart of the team. And it shows in a lot of ways. And that she kind of becomes, at least combat-wise, Haruhiro's right hand. But emotionally, she is still kind of, I think, not the person that he relies on. I think emotionally she is that person for Ranta. And also one of the funniest moments in the show is when she just absolutely kicks him in the face for trying to peep on her.
Definitely.
It's so weird to think, like, yeah, this is Jeannie Torado, who is, like, now an incredibly prolific voice actress who works in, AAA gaming.
And is in, in actual, ADR dubbing for Hollywood films, kind of.
Yeah. And this was kind of like her breakout show.
Yep.
Do you have anything else to add? That's why I keep pausing.
I mean, it is a relatively early role for Jeannie Torado, so I really don't have much to add. You pretty much said everything.
Do you want to start on Ranta then?
Yeah, Ryan Pitts' Ranta is interesting. Good interesting, but interesting. I'm trying to recall if I was familiar with the name beforehand. I don't think I was.
If I was, it was very much in passing.
Yeah. But it was also, I think it was the performance that even at the first line felt appropriate to the character. Orion was one of the quickest to adapt to Ranta's mannerisms and just kind of personality. So it just kind of felt right immediately.
Yeah. Ranta as a person has the personality of a debate me bro dude.
Mm-hmm.
Who decided that, oh god, like, I said it before, if this was an isekai that came out in 2025, Ranta would be your main character.
Or if he wasn't, he would be
the kind of bully villain that set the main edgelord character over the edge.
You know, yeah. I could see that.
He's abrasive, I think he's brutally honest in the way that's trying to hide his own feelings. One of the more interesting conversations happens between him, right after they go into the kobold mine for the first time. And, he basically tells our hero he's never going to be Monato. And he's never basically going to respect him like he respected Monato. And he kind of has this very flippant, cool attitude of, well, I laid out all my flaws, well, why aren't you going to lay out all of yours?
Mm-hmm.
And our hero doesn't know that he doesn't know what step to take, because Hero's probably going to be the longest conversation we have, because he is just so much the folklore character.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to see Ranta's evolution as a person in this world. Because in episode 2, I think, is when they get their first actual kill. And when it happens, he kind of complains a little bit that Mokuzo got the kill, so he can't take a piece as his vice for his death god, who... Ranta being a Dark Knight for a death god who believes all is equal in death is kind of very fucking darkly funny for me, given the subject matter of this series.
Yeah.
He's also the first one to try to act like he's gotten over Monato because of it, and yet he's the first person we find drinking at the bar.
Yeah.
He goes in and has to stab this, goblin to death. And he's, like, kind of crying after. Like, oh my god, I've actually killed something. But meanwhile, later on, he becomes the guy who's, like, edgily calling his attacks because he thinks it's cool shit. And Orion really gets that down as his character. And eventually you get to episode 12, where the end of episode 11 into the beginning of episode 12, where he thinks he's going to get left behind to fight Death Spots. And it leads to probably one of the two funniest moments in the whole show, which is, come on, can't you fight me like a gentleman? And they immediately knock him over. To then eventually getting back up to the farm and hiding in the naked mole rat pigs, which are the second weirdest animal in the show because the Tamuta cats are number 1 and I want one. And he ends up getting into this shed, and he summons his demon Zodiac, or Zodiaco as he calls it, who basically does not give a shit if Ranta's gonna live or die or not. This thing's just rolling around calling him a caterpillar and going, come on, Ranta, you believe in the death god, aren't you? Don't you want to fucking die? Hey kid, want to see a dead body? Trick question, it's you. And he's there as Death Spots is pulling the roof off the building, and Orion's delivery of, man, I should have taken a shot at flat chest just this once. And, he's talking about wanting to grope Yume, and eventually he gets out of it, and Yume's kind of teasing him, and the entire time, they're talking about the plan of how to get the fuck out of the mine of the kobolds, and you just see him looking and his hand edging over, he's like, do I fucking do it? I lived, what the hell?
Yeah.
He's such a shitty person, and I love it.
I mean, you want to kick his ass, but at the same time, like, watching it on TV, you can... It's fun. It's
And then
fun.
let's... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine.
And let's talk about our main character, Haruhiro.
Oh boy. There is a lot here.
I think Rico Fajardo's kind of good at his job.
Maybe.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Wonder where his career went.
Oh boy. Looking at stuff he's in winter 2025 season.
Gulag Soccer. Gulag Soccer. Fucking Gulag Soccer. What did I ask you? Is this Guantanamo Bay for soccer?
I think that was
I called it. Yeah, I think I called Blue Lock Soccer Guantanamo. I think Rico Fajardo's a little good at this acting thing.
maybe just fit. But yeah, Haruhiro is a beautiful mess of a character. Just an absolute train wreck keeping it together for the kids.
It's have you ever seen or ever listened to part of Into the Woods?
I've seen like a couple numbers off of it, but not the whole thing.
Have you at least ever listened to part of the finale song?
No, I have not.
One of the parts goes, how am I meant to father the child if no, shit, what is it? How can I go about being a father? Damn it, I gotta look this up. I gotta look this up now because I'm gonna be bothered if I don't say it.
Okay, while she's looking that up.
Okay.
It is...
Oh,
go ahead.
no, go ahead, you first. I talk too much.
So it is like a really beautiful character progression for Haruhiro, where he basically goes from... He is incredibly cocky at first. Like, I would probably say about as, or maybe a little cockier than Ronta even. Like, he's getting in there, he's going for the kills, and busting Ronta's chops when he gets in the way. And then Monato dies, and he realizes just how not the shit he is. And the guy mans up quickly after that.
Yeah, the line is, how do I go about being a father with no one to mother my child? Basically, how do I go about being a leader if I have no one to lead me, kind of? And I think it's very much Haruhiro's story is the mirror of Mary's, in that he and his team got so cocky they didn't take care of their priest, and it led them to ruin. And in Mary's case, they did the same, except for she has to carry the burden of everybody who's died. And there is an excellent moment where Mary and Hiro are talking about grief, and the way that Hiro describes it is like sewing your clothes back together.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, there's damages, and you're always going to notice that damage, but you've put yourself back together and are carrying on in spite of it. And Rico just says that so beautifully. But if we're talking about big, messy scenes, we gotta talk about the big, messy scene.
In the priest conclave.
Yup.
With Monato's probably still slightly warm body on the altar, and they're begging him they're begging the head priest to revive him, but it's too late.
There is a level of... It kind of starts in the forest when he's, like, talking about pulling the arrow out and, like, cleaning the wound. But there is such a... I want to know, if I ever get to talk to Rico again, or talk to Mike McFarlane, how many times they had to do that take. Or if they did more than one take, like, what was the going into that? Because there is such an unfiltered rawness to how Rico screams in that scene. That, as somebody who, in the time since this has aired, has lost both all of her remaining grandparents, yeah, no, I get it now. Like, there is a pain and emotion and rawness to Rico's performance in that, screaming about bringing him back. And the eventual realization when the priest guild tells him that they have to cremate his body. Because anybody who dies out there is affected by the curse of the undead king and will rise within 5 days, and sometimes it's as early as 3. And there's this sinking realization to all of them there, but Rico is the one who speaks, where if Rico and Moguzo have to speak about it, and then they talk about the cost of how much it took to cremate Monato and get him a tombstone. And Rico's very cold delivery of 1 silver, 50 copper each. Is that the cost of a human life here?
Yeah.
Like, Rico Fajardo is stupid good at his job. And over the last 9 years, I think a lot of people on the podcast can agree it's been an absolute pleasure to see how his work has evolved and to watch a lot of the stuff he's in. Like, I'm personally of the camp of, like, I think Blue Lock is a terrible show, but it has one of the best dubs out there, and a big part of it is Rico's performance as Isekai. As Isagi.
Yeah.
Like, there are so few performances I dislike Rico in. And the fact that he was doing it that early in his career says a lot, because even very early in his career, his first major lead would have been, Leon in Garo, who is a completely different character from Hiro.
Yep.
And there is very little warmth in Leon's performance. It is almost all traumatic edge up till a point. Meanwhile, you have Haruhiro, who runs the gambit of all of these emotions, and that's by design. And for anybody who says this show is boring or bad, you don't deserve the moment in episode 12 where he kills Death Spots.
Yeah.
Like,
Where he finally sort of masters the thief's ability to read the lines in the air, the most ideal movement a person could make in a given situation. Something even his master wasn't able to readily do.
his master, who I don't think has been to thief ethics school. And also, can we talk about the fact that the way that he kills Death Spot is by slashing his sword in half and having it ricochet into his body?
Which then Moguzo later goes down into the dungeon, grabs the sword, and intends to have it reforged. Which is equally badass.
Yeah. Also, Haruhiro also tries to, at one point, kill it by choking it out with his scarves. With a scarf.
See,
like,
I don't think he was
the entirety... Oh,
I don't
go ahead.
think he was trying to kill it, per se. I think he was just trying to knock it to the ground so that everybody else could escape.
Still badass.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. Oh god. Do you have anything else to add that I haven't?
There was... his interactions with his master are also just chef kiss.
His master Barbara, as played by, I believe, Jamie Markey.
Yep.
Just... Old Cat's not much of a nickname. I'm not stiff.
But he gets it because he looks so old and tired all the time. It's great.
Yeah, I just... Can I talk about, though, when he talks to her about the seeing the lines thing? She is, like, uncomfortably, like, armbarring him and, like, riding his crotch. And, like, he's just, like, in pain. And she's like, if you can still breathe, you can talk. And it's like, not many of my students have died. Oh, that's good. Wait, there's some that have died?
That woman is ungodly horny, like, all the time.
Her 2016 strongest bra strap.
That bra strap is God's strongest soldier.
Carry on, oh, your wayward son. Or glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die.
There we go.
Depending. Yeah. I'm sorry. Carry on, my wayward son only happens when you go to super hell.
Yep.
Are you
gonna jump no more?
Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die. Are you good to go into final thoughts? Listen, out of all the TikTok brain rot to come into this episode, at least it wasn't butterfly in my ass. There's a butterfly in my ass.
I'm not familiar with this and I don't know if I want to be.
I'll let you sit on that one.
I see.
It's not that bad, but it's also, if I tell you, it ruins the fun.
I see.
I'll show it to you after. Fine, I'll show you fucking butterfly in my ass.
So going into final thoughts about Grimgar 10 years... Sorry, not 10 years yet. 9 years later. Boy, howdy did that hit different. Like, the Patrick of 2016 was a naive little shit. The Patrick of 2025 who has gone through processing grief, in the middle of processing some real deep family shit that isn't going to be talked about on this episode. Maybe later. But just a lot of stuff kind of converging. It is weirdly cathartic. Like, the dub's really well done. Shit's solid. I still kind of wish that the production methods of 9 years ago were still the norm within the Dallas dubbing structure, but hey, c'est la vie, I guess. But yeah, Grimgar is definitely near the top of Mike McFarlane and Felicia Angel's work. Top notch, solid thumbs up. Yeah, good stuff.
I'd have to agree. I think the person I was 9 years ago didn't appreciate the show as much as they do now. This is bar none, like, I think the best modern isekai that's ever come out. There's no, like, it's 12 episodes, and I don't know anything that goes on outside of it. Is it a little too horny for its own good at times? Yes. But when that's my only complaint about your show, compared to the myriads of other isekai that have come out, especially ones not aimed towards the female demographic, that says a lot. The dub for this holds up surprisingly well. Like, honestly, one of the best out there. Some, like, great, solid early career work from a lot of established actors. And I think the thing that I love most about it all is that it is what caused me to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always going to be worth its weight in diamonds, platinums, whatever the fuck is out there in the world. And I think that not only having watched this when I did made me appreciative of the things that went on in Grimgar, but more appreciative of other narrative works like it, where you take a fantastical situation, but instead of using it to just be like, wow, look how cool my character is, it is in fact more of I'm going to use this world to explore concepts that I can take from day to day and put them in a way that might engage people more because it's the fantastical. And Grimgar excels at that. The sound direction on this show, like I said in the beginning thoughts, is impeccable. Like, I know when we did our simuldub panel, we used to show the very first episode of Grimgar scene, and that's because it not only sets the tone of the show, but, like, from a mixing standpoint, it really gives you a look into how good that is, because all of the weight and clanging and bone crunching and blood splatters sound really, really well put together. And just overall, it is a lovely, lovely show and a lovely dub. And if you want to watch it, you can watch it over on Crunchyroll. I want to say this is on Hulu. And you can still, I believe, pick it up on home video.
Yeah, if you would recall, like, Blu-ray is still, like, widely available.
Yeah. If you'd like to read the original light novels, I believe Seven Seas puts out the novels for it. Physically, and I believe Bookwalker or J Manga Club might do the digital version. I don't know. And if you'd like to support us, we are the Dub Talk Podcast. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, wherever you want to go. You can follow us at Blue Sky, the humbling, shambling corpse of Twitter, as it is slowly being picked apart by unsavory human beings. Twitch, Instagram, Tumblr is kind of back alive, I guess, now. Luffy hasn't pushed it back into the grave. And if you would like to support us as a one-time thing, we do have a coffee link below. Though apparently I learned you can actually change that into whatever drink you want it to be.
Interesting.
Because Mars Girls changed hers to, Baja Blast.
Oh.
You can give us a...
If I ever use Ko-fi, that... I'll have to look into that.
Please buy me dumb bitch juice.
I would probably change it to dumb bitch juice.
Donate to our Ko-fi. For every $1 you put into the Ko-fi, we will lock Andrew in a cage.
For every dollar you put into the Ko-fi, that puts a dumb bitch juice in my body.
And everybody wants that. But if you want to support us more on the regular, you can become a Patreon and give us money, because money can be exchanged for goods and services, Patrick.
Oh, $20, but I wanted a peanut.
Money can be exchanged for goods and services.
Oh, yeah.
You can have many peanuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah! So we want to thank our $5 Patreons, Bright Eyes 505, Crimson Echidna, Just J2, Quinoa Soup, Marissa Lenti, Michelle Travis, and my parents. And our $10 tier, Anthony Brown, Carly Lesticow, Julia W, Otaku Anthony, and Pika Greg. Honey, where can they find you?
So you can find me on the Shambling Corpse of Twitter, as well as Blue Sky, at Roots of Justice. Mainly retweet cute animal pics. I got a new puppy!
She's so cute!
Mainly talk general fandom stuff. It's a good time. You should come see me. I usually like to end these things on a Patrick's Cool Thing of the Day. And today I've got a good one. It is a little film released earlier this year called Companion. Do not look up anything about it. Go into it as blind as you can. But content warning, there is like a lot of masculine violence, let's just say, involved in that film. So if that's not your thing, that's perfectly okay. I want to make sure that you know, like, it is a horror film and they use masculine violence as a big plot point. But it's good shit.
And if you want to follow me, I am Megan. You can follow me at Quinura on the Blue Sky. I am no longer on the Twitters. I hang around Final Fantasy XIV. But with that being said, honey, it is our time to go and fight things in the wilderness. We have to go find our way back to the House of Mouse. To take on its most final boss. We gotta take on the final boss, Bob Iger.
We must go.
Our people need us.
And then we gotta get on Dinosaur one more time before they shut that shit down.
We are stealing the animatronic.
Oh hell yeah.
I don't know where we're gonna put it, but it's ours.
Mount it on the outside of the house.
Hell yeah, baby!
Scare the mailman.
Dress it up for holidays.
There we go.
We raised your 12-foot skeleton with our animatronic we've stolen from Disney World. But with that being said, good night everybody. Otaku on.
Otaku on that daba.